Hello again. So I will continue the introduction to the web development course from chapter 1 in the textbook that we are going to take in this course. As I said previously, I'm going to quickly introduce the main concepts of web development in this chapter. I'm not going to concentrate on all materials in this chapter. Some material are important that are related to HTTP protocol. I will describe them sufficiently. Other material I will just explain them quickly or I will skip them. So the objectives of this chapter are to introduce basic knowledge about computer hardware, software, and internet basics, how the internet evolved. What we want to know is the general information about HTML and CSS, because we are going to take complete chapters about these two languages and introduce them in details in later chapters. Also, different type of programming languages, object-oriented concepts. These are general information. You can read them and understand them for you to have knowledge about them, because they are important for you not only for this course but for your career in general. Later on, you should be knowing about programming languages and object-oriented concepts. So in the introduction, we talk here about the importance of web programming and the importance of the internet, which is something that you should already know very well about. You know about the importance of internet in our daily life and in business in general. Each and every business today depend completely on internet to be able to offer its services and to continue its operations. The internet has become rooted into our daily activities and daily lives and daily operations. We always depend on the internet on almost everything that we do. So it's important to know how the internet programming is done in general. If we want to develop programs for the internet, we should know about how the communication in the internet happens. In general, the internet devices on the internet are divided into two types. We either have client devices or server devices. Server devices are the devices that host applications and offer the services of the applications to the clients. On the other hand, client devices, they are devices that host special types of applications that connect to servers, request from them services related to the applications that the servers offer, and consume these applications and offer them to the users who are the clients of these applications. If we want to talk about it from the web point of view, we can say that web servers, these are the type of services of the web. These are the type of servers on the web servers. We have a huge amount of types of web servers. Some web servers, they are centralized and host specific websites only. Some web servers are part of data centers. Some web servers are part of specialized cloud. So we have now many types of web servers. In general, the concept of web server means a device on the internet that hosts a special type of application that offers its services to the other clients on the internet. On the other hand, if we look at the web client, the web client is usually started and applied using web browsers. So whenever I open Internet Explorer or Google Chrome or any other type of browsers, I am opening a client-side web application. The web browser is a client-side web application. If we continue in the future in the same domain and you continue to the master's level and you take the network programming course, distributed system and network programming. In this course, we are going to, in that course, we are going to talk about how to write the codes of the server and the codes of the client. But in this course, we will just talk about the scripting and the language that allow us to write specific web pages. We will not talk about how to write the application that will create the web server and the web client. These are general information about the textbook that we are going to use, the location of the code that we will see, we will mention and describe throughout the course. You can go to these websites and check the code yourselves. You can download the code and keep it also for yourselves. You can try the code on your browser and look at its details when we are going to take it. Moore's law is general information. You can read it by yourself if you like. This is part of the chapter section 1.2 is general information about the importance of the internet in industry and research. So this is general information you can read and know for yourself. Now in this section it describes the applications, the modern applications of web programming. I don't know if you have an idea about cloud computing and processing in the cloud nowadays. Most probably all of you who use Google services or Amazon services know already about the cloud. The idea of cloud computing has started approximately about between 10 to 15 years ago. The main idea here was to offer hardware services to users that they can run and use these services on the internet. So instead of just giving them static applications and static software services, now you are able to use hardware services within data centers on the internet. So large companies such as Google, Amazon, many other companies, they have something called the data centers. The data centers, they have large servers and racks of hard disks and memories and so on. This allow you to go to these data centers and create and run something called the virtual machines. If you don't know about the topics of cloud computing and virtual machines, I strongly advise you to search about them on the internet because they are very important to each and every software developer and computer engineer. If you are going to specialize in computer engineering or in computer science, you need to know very well about these concepts and to differentiate between the services, the type of services that are offered in the cloud. We have many type of services. We have three main famous type of services in the cloud: software as a service, infrastructure as a service. So you need to know about these services, their specifications, what do they do. Although they are not part of our course, but they are very important general information and general knowledge for you to know about. So these are also other applications that are used in the internet today. So all of this was general information you can read and know for yourself to enrich your knowledge and make you more capable of understanding concepts related to web programming and to the internet. What we want to focus about is the web programming, the details of web programming. So here in this chapter, we introduce briefly the concepts of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and other concepts. We will be talking about each and every one of these concepts in later chapters in details, and we will take many programs, web programs, and we will write many web scripts, web pages that will contain all the standards and structures of these programming languages. First, with respect to HTML. HTML, which is an abbreviation to Hypertext Markup Language, is the most widely used language for web programming. Here it is called a markup language. What's the difference between a markup language and an ordinary language? You all know about ordinary languages such as C++, C#, Java, Python, and other languages. All these languages have a certain method, certain way to enable the programmers to write programs using this language. For example, in Java, we create a class. Inside the class, we should have a main method and other methods also in addition to the main method. Now, we write statements in each method. In the statements, we declare variables. We write control structures such as loops, arrays. We call execution statements and so on. So all programming languages, they contain this specification and these standards, and will allow the programmer to write code using these types of statements and structures. However, markup languages, they don't have such standards and such structures. Markup languages, they define objects. They allow the programmer to define objects inside the script that the programmer writes. So when you write an HTML script in order to create an HTML website, you define the script, which is the program, in terms of set of objects that are related to each other or concatenated with each other or follow each other. So we put several objects inside the script, and the browser will read the script, will identify the objects, and will put these objects on the web page. Now, objects can be related to each other in several ways. We will be talking about this concept in later chapters. But for now, it's very important to differentiate between a markup language such as HTML and XML and other types of programming languages such as C++ and Java and so on. The difference, as I said, is that the markup languages, they don't execute statements. They allow the programmer to write and create objects inside the program or script. The current version of HTML is the HTML5. It has already been finalized and standardized in the internet today. You can search for HTML5 documentation on Google, and you will see the specific details on each and every object that you can use in HTML5. For example, if I go to Google, if I write, for example, HTML5 documentation, I can find many resources in HTML, the semantics with respect to various types of objects that you can put inside HTML. Also, the main reference of HTML. This is the main document that is created by the W3C committee that identifies all elements of HTML. You can see here the different elements. I told you before about the objects. Well, each one of these is a separate object that you can use inside HTML. So you can get information here about each and every one of these objects. For example, if I want information about table, I click on it and I will be directed inside the web page into the table. So ironically, this web page which describes HTML is written in HTML. So if I want to see the HTML code that corresponds to this page, I right click on the web page, right click on it and say view source, view page source. So it will open the script, the HTML script, which the programmer has written, okay, in order to be able to create this HTML page. Okay, this is the HTML code. So these are markups. So here we have the style markup. we have the header markup. These are called tags, HTML tags. Okay, so this is the characteristic of a markup language. It consists of tags. You can see the whole page will consist of tags. Inside each tag, I have an object, a main object. Now, I might have inside each object another objects. So inside an object, I can put other objects. But the main idea here is that you create a program, a script, HTML script, by putting HTML tags after each other or inside each other. This was general overview about HTML. Now the other thing that we want to talk about, and we will have a complete chapter about it later on, is the CSS, the cascading style sheet. Cascading style sheets, they are programs or scripts, part of scripts that are used to specify how the appearance, the styling, presentation of the elements on the web page. If we go to this web page, okay, we can see that each element could have a look and appearance different from other elements. Each element could have a different font, different color, a different, for example, border. What specifies these specifications for each element? These are specified using the CSS. We will learn how to use CSS in later chapters, chapter 3 and after that. And we will be seeing how to create CSS code at the beginning of an HTML script in order to identify the look and the appearance of certain objects inside the web page. After we take HTML and CSS, we are going to take JavaScript. We will see how we can embed code inside the web page. Now, as I said, in markup languages, you create the page by inserting HTML tags into the page. Each tag will correspond to a certain web object that will be rendered in the web page. Now, in modern web pages, we can create a JavaScript code and put it inside the web page to allow the web page to interact with the user and to give to the user certain information or change its look according to the user actions. Something that's very important with JavaScript is the concept of portability. Portability means that when I create a web page, the web page could change its appearance if I run the web page, execute it on a different machine. The portability inserts into the web page certain aspects that allows the web page to run and execute on different kinds of machines and different kinds of operating systems. For example, here, if I create a web page that is written for the sake of Windows, so this web page should work correctly on Windows. When I open a browser on Windows, such as Internet Explorer or Google Chrome, the web page should run correctly. But other types of operating systems could have different rendering, different code that renders the web pages. So when I execute this web page on different operating systems, such as Mac or Linux, in this case the web page will change the appearance. When we say that the web page is portable, it means that I can execute the web page on different operating systems and it will still produce the same result and will show the same appearance of the web page channel. These are examples of the most famous desktop browsers. So these are the examples of the most famous desktop browsers. Also, we have newly some mobile browsers that were created in the last 10 years. Once the mobile devices start spreading and the mobile operating systems such as iPhone and Android start appearing, there was a need to create browsers for mobile devices and for these mobile operating systems. So these are examples of the most famous browsers on the desktop, various operating systems on the desktop and on mobile operating systems. So as it says here, the support for HTML and CSS is different or varies by different browsers. So some browsers will support different versions of HTML and CSS. Some browsers might not support all versions of this programming language. So in this case, when the support is different, or when the browser renders the page in a different way using different code, then the web page could look differently between one browser and the other. Also on this course, we are going to speak briefly about jQuery. When we talk about HTML, we will expand that, and we will talk later about XML. We will see the differences between XML and HTML. XML are very important for something called the web services. We will talk about the concept of web services, and we will see how XML files are used in web services. You all know about SQL, which is the programming language that is used to query various types of SQL databases. In SQL, we have queries. We have different types of queries, such as insert query, update query, delete query, and select, which is the search query. Now, for XML, which is markup language, if we want to query the XML file and find certain specific tags, find their locations, and find their attributes inside the XML file, we use a special query language, which is called the jQuery language. So when you have a website that will produce for you web pages, and you want to know the details about these web pages, you want to query the web page, query the file of the web page, the script, and to know about the details of specific tags inside the web page. Here comes the job of jQuery. It allows you to query any file written in a markup language and to know information about the details of the tags that exist in any HTML or XML script. Now, with respect to validation, you all know in programming languages such as C++ and Java, if you want to validate your code, you just compile it. For example, Java will do automatic compilation for you and will give you directly if there are errors in the code or not. In C++, you need to compile the program to see if it contains errors or not. In HTML, you will not be able to compile your program using the same way you do in C++ or Java, because HTML is a markup language, not an ordinary language. It doesn't have a specific automatic compiler to do this job. So in order to validate that your script, your code, HTML code is correct, you need to use a certain validator, HTML validator. There are online validators that allow you to enter a code into the validator and then check if the code is valid without errors or if it contains errors. These are examples of websites that contain inside them HTML validator. Also, we have validators for CSS and JavaScript. Demos, these are included in the first chapter to give you ideas about programs and sample programs in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and you can see the details of the body of such programs in these demos. So if you go at these websites, you can execute the code inside them. You can see examples of various types of programming languages that are related to web development, such as HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, and so on. Now, the evolution of the internet and World Wide Web is just general information, how the internet evolved from its beginnings in the 1960s until its current form, in which everything is connected to each other. These are general information. I don't want you to concentrate very much on them. You can read them for you to know about. That's all. Now the next thing that we are going to take about is related to the HTTP protocol, how HTTP is used to send HTML requests in order to obtain HTML web pages, and how HTTP messages are sent between clients and servers via HTTP request and HTTP reply messages to be able to carry HTML web pages and also web objects between web clients and web servers. We will continue with this topic in the next lecture. Thank you.